Namaste. Thank you for listening to me. I'm very grateful. Today I want to talk about negative thoughts. If you start meditating, you'll start noticing how many negative thoughts you have, and how much crap you have in your mind. It just comes up, whoosh, and hits you like a train. And that's why I don't like this. The whole meditation makes you happy myth. No, it doesn't. Meditation does not make you happy. But I've got a whole series of video about that, so I won't go into that again. I want to talk about the negative thoughts and thus, thoughts of anger, hate, self-loathing that come up as soon as you start meditating. And how do you deal with them? How do you deal with all the crap? And, there are multiple ways. If it's too much for you to deal with personally, you might have to see a therapist or a coach or a guide of some sort. That's if it goes too much, you might have to stop meditation completely and go see a therapist first. And that can happen. Everybody thinks it won't happen to them until it does. And that's why, the meditation makes you happy myth is so harmful. Because there are people for whom, as soon as they start meditating, it becomes, the negative thoughts become so strong they cannot deal with it. So I'll talk to the other people, or to most people who hopefully you don't need therapy. Your problems are not that extreme, but you still find the whole process very frustrating and hard. As soon as you start meditating, these thoughts will come up and they'll attack you, and you'll think, oh my god, where does all this come from? And the thing is that these thoughts have always been there. They've always been a part of you. You just weren't aware of it. It's only when you sat down to meditate that you realized how much garbage you've been carrying on your head. And the standard advice is to just watch those thoughts and not judge them. Just watch, don't judge. And that's fine. Except let's be honest, it doesn't really work. Not for beginners, at least. And most of these thoughts, they're very, they're very hostile towards you. They've been very negative towards you. They're like bullies, let's be honest. They're like bullying you. Thoughts of hate and self-loathing and self-contempt. And, just ignoring them doesn't work. Just like ignoring a real bully doesn't work. If a bully walks into your house and starts, slapping you and taking your stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm spiritual, the bully won't leave. He's going to become more stronger and he'll start slapping you more. Just like ignoring bullies in real life doesn't work. Ignoring, these negative thoughts also doesn't work. I mean, again, sometimes, with bullies, it makes sense to walk away. And many of the times you can walk away. But sometimes you have to, especially if it's your own house, you have to make a stand. There's nothing spiritual about letting, people walk all over you. In the same way, this is your mind, your brain is your house. And these thoughts don't belong to you, they come from outside. And they're coming into your mind and attacking you. And I'm sorry, you have to make a stand somewhere. You can't just let them, you can't just, take the coward's path and pretend, oh, I'm so spiritual. Because these negative thoughts will destroy your meditation. You have to confront them, you have to deal with them. Just like, because they are like bullies who've entered your brain your mind without permission. So how do you deal with them? I find that these negative thoughts, they always have a source which is it's not obvious where their negativity is coming from. On a shallow surface, it might be, oh, my boss is a jerk, or my wife or husband don't respect me, or they don't love me, my kids don't respect me, whatever. That's just bullshit. You have to go deeper to find out what the real cause is. And for me, what worked was journaling, writing down. I got a journal Every time I had strong negative thoughts, I would go into a cafe, usually a lunch break, sit down 1 hour, sometimes 2 or 3 if I had the time. And I would keep writing, why am I angry? Why am I angry? What's my problem? And the thing is to really confront the negativity. Why are you here? What do you want? So I'll give you an example. Somebody at work was rude to me. I was really pissed off that these guys are jerks. They hate me. They're always out for me. They hate me because of whatever reason. Then I said to myself, no, that can't be it. So I went out into there was a small park nearby. I sat there with a notebook and I said, why am I angry? And the answer that came was, oh, because these people are jerks. I said, no. Why am I angry? Because nobody respects me. No. Why am I angry? I mean, this took me about 45 minutes. I'll give you the fast version. Kept writing, that the people don't respect me at work. Nobody respects me, blah, blah, blah. My wife doesn't respect me. His boss doesn't respect me. Colleagues don't respect me. Everybody hates me. And I kept asking, why? Because I wouldn't let the ego just throw up excuses and hide behind them. That's what the ego likes to do. It likes to blame others. It's his fault, her fault, that person's fault, this person's fault. I'm not letting ego get away with it. So I said, why are you angry? Why? Kept asking why. After around 30-40 minutes, I kept asking, why am I angry? Then respect me. Why does it matter? Because I'm scared. Why does it matter? And ultimately the answer I got was, because I'm terrified of, I'm scared of being found out that I'm not good enough. And, I'm hoping people don't notice me, but people are noticing me. And they're making me realize that how scared I am of life. And when I sort of wrote that down, it was a big shock. It was such a shock that, I couldn't move for a long time. Because I was thinking the problem was with the boss, the people, they're his fault, their fault. That was just an excuse for something that was inside of me. That was, that had been attacking me. A proper fear in me. A negative self-belief. A limiting belief. That's the thing, most of the negative thoughts we have, they come from limiting beliefs we have about ourselves, about how the world works. So my beliefs were that, the world is a scary place, the world is a random place. It's a unpredictable place, and it's cold and harsh and cruel, and it's out to get me, and there's no justice or love in the world. And this wasn't conscious, this was very deep unconscious. It was only when I did a lot of work. It took me a year or two before I got down. Because every time I was angry or depressed, I would write down. Out of 30-40 minutes, I would say, this same crap again. I thought I dealt with it. But it kept coming up, the same story again and again. Because the pain and the loathing, it was so deep. It needed fair amount of inner work, shadow work. This is your own shadow, right? Your own inner darkness. So I had to confront my inner shadow. First I had to challenge it. I said, no, you're wrong. The world is not a cruel place. It's not the fault of everyone out there. That's the first thing. Second, you have to replace that negative belief with one that's positive and loving towards yourself and compassionate towards yourself. And that takes time. For me, I was just writing down, the universe is a nice place. Everyone loves me. I don't have to be scared. They're not out to get to me. And, obviously it's going to depend on your use case, but I can tell you now that it's going to be some sort of fear that might come in different ways. It might be fear about your body, your looks, your intelligence, your salary, your relationships, your friends, colleagues, whatever. And I know I've taken a bit of a detour, but just watching these negative thoughts doesn't work. I tried watching them, it did fuck all for me, it didn't work for me at all. I had to go in and confront them because they were like bullies in my mind, bullying me around, slapping me around. And at one point I had to say, screw this spirituality. Who are you? Get out of my house. You have to take a stand. You have to, and it's very scary. I'm just telling the story, and I told the story in 2 minutes, and you might say, oh yeah, that wasn't a big deal. But it took me like 2 years to get this work to be at the level where I could see that, all the anger and the negative thoughts, the constant negativity, the constant, negative feelings and emotions I felt when meditation, they were due to a very deep underlying emotional pain that had to be dealt with. So it requires a lot of deep work, a lot of courage, and a lot of, just sticking with it, having compassion for yourself, trust for yourself, just working through it. You have to do the inner work. You have to face these demons. And sometimes, the pat answer is like, oh, just watch the thoughts, don't judge them, they don't work. And that's what I hate about most of this, McDonald type advice, McDonald or spirituality type advice. It's all very easy and pat, oh, don't judge your thoughts, just watch them. And it sounds very easy to say, but it's not easy to do. It's really damn hard. And it's the wrong advice on many, for me it was the wrong advice. So, yeah, but sometimes watching your thoughts or not judging is the right way. Yeah, so recently, standing in a line and somebody said something rude to me, and I was irritated for a few minutes. But then I said, I'm angry, that's it. There's anger in me, and I started laughing because what's the big deal? I could say that anger isn't me, there's me here, and there's anger over there in the corner, and that's fine. As soon as I started thinking that way, the anger lost all its power, just like a balloon popped off. Because our resistance to, negativity keeps it alive. If you judge it, we're like, oh, I shouldn't be negative, then the negativity becomes even stronger. While if you just say, yeah, I'm feeling negative, you don't judge it, it just goes away. But we are taught to constantly judge ourselves, I should be spiritual, I need to act all lovey-dovey, I need to act like Jesus, like Buddha, I have to show compassion. No, you don't have to show all time. Sometimes you'll frack crap, and sometimes you just accept your thoughts. But the reason I could do that, I could just accept it, was because I had already done the hard inner work. And, it's like saying, if a kid is trying to learn a bike, you tell them, oh, just sit on the bike and pedal, that's it. It's not, there's a lot of other stuff. You've done a lot of work before that, right? The kid hasn't. I was teaching my son to learn bicycle, and there's so many things you need to learn. You need to learn balance, you need to learn to look straight, you need to hold the handle straight, tight. In theory, you can just say, oh, if you want to ride a bike, just sit on it and pedal, what's the big deal about it? But actually it's really hard if you're the first time you're doing it. It's the same with meditation or your negative thoughts. The first time it's really hard, and I don't like this pat, oh, just watch it. Just watching is fine, and sometimes it can work. But if the negative thoughts keep coming back day after day, week after week, then maybe there's some deep underlying issue that you need to work with. You've let bullies into your house, and you need to stand up and throw them out first. So throw the bullies out of your house, and then you can go back to being spiritual. Okay? And wish I could say more. This is one of those things I could talk for 2 hours and still wouldn't cover everything. But I think I hope I made the point that I wanted to make clear, that if you're getting a lot of negativity in meditation and just watching it non-judgmentally isn't working, that means the real issue is something else, something deep within. And you have to go deep within yourself and do the inner work to find out what it is. Bring it to the light, and then replace it with love and compassion. And it can take months, weeks, months, years. You just have to stick with it until it goes away, or until it becomes so weak that it can no longer affect you, because it will never go away 100%. It just becomes weak. It's still there. It's instead of big, like a dragon, it's like a little worm, just squiggling his head now and then. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I'm very grateful. Namaste.